So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a disappearing task list. And what I mean by that is normally when you have a drop-down list, data validation drop-down list, you click in here, you can pick anything, and then if the next cell below has the same settings, but you'd see everything, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 2 is still there. The same with the cell below. But in rare cases, you might want to say, all right, I've already picked the 2, so in this cell I want to see a 1, a 3, and a 4. And then in this cell, a 1 and a 2, or no, sorry, a 1 and a 4 only. Now, you could get really fancy and use macro programming and do this, but if not, you have to use formulas, and there's a few steps to it. So that's what I'm going to show you now. So, step 1, 2 columns of data here together. Number 1, just go in here and put a counter. You could get fancy and use the row function, or simply just type in 1, 2, 3, 4, drag it down, it'll extend all the way to the bottom of how many tasks you're going to have. So next, go in here and type in all the different tasks that you have that go all the way down to the bottom. Make sure that they're unique values. Everyone is different, and then so that's step 2 or step 1. We've got these 2 columns finished. Step 2 is the task already selected? Now we have to get a little bit creative here because the whole solution won't work until the end when we have our shorter list. But let's just imagine this. Here is a table. This is called table 1, and this little column here is where we're going to be selecting things. So this little area is where in the end we'll have that data validation list that's shrinking, so when we pick something it gets smaller each time. But for now we have to start this off and sort of, let's just take this one, copy it, and I'm going to paste it here as a value. And let's take another one. Let's take this one, plan the wedding style, copy that and put it over here also as a value. So now it's going to show us a 1 because we've already selected it. It's looking at that area. See how the count if, table 1, select task, looking in that area if it's the same as the value to the left here. And so whenever it's the same, you get a 1 that we've already selected it. Step 3, show the counter for non-selected tasks. So we want to go in here, simple formula, if E13 equals 0, that's our test, then show us B13, which is simply the counter. If that's not true, we just want to see a blank. So when we've selected the value, like here and here, we're just going to see a blank in those cells. And see, I put a little blank column here because now we're changing it a little bit. These first steps, everything is parallel. This corresponds to this value, this one, the 6 here to the 6 here, the 3 to the 3. But now over here, step 4, we want to order it without the gaps. So we're going to be changing it. We're going to be ignoring this number 2, announce engagement, and number 4 here, plan the wedding style. So I'm simply using the small function to say, look at these values and give me the smallest k value. The k is looking at our counter. So that's the smallest 1 value, and then here we are saying give me out of these values the second smallest, third smallest, all the way down. And now we want step 5. Look up the task description. So these 2 steps go together. Let me just unhide this. So basically we want to now, we have the 1 and then it jumps to a 3 because we've already selected 2, and it jumps the 4 because we've selected that one as well. So now it's just pulling them out in sort of this sequential order. And this is done by a simple index function. So let's just take a look at one of these. We're looking at back at the original list, and we're just using, we want the 5th value. In this case, even though it's the sort of the third row within our list, we don't want a 3 because we want the 3 was the one before it. We want the third sort of non-selected value, which is a 5. So 1, 2, and 3. So to test this out, let's take another value from over here. And so watch what's going to happen when we come back to this screen. I'm going to take number 7, choose the venue and set the date, go into our task list, I'm just going to paste it. It could be anywhere in here. Let's even put it in the middle of these two and just paste it as a value. I come back here, and now we see that this is already crossed off. We have a 1 here, and in this list here, number 7 is no longer there. It goes 6, 8, and then it continues all the way down. So our list is getting shorter. And if we jump to the bottom, now that we've selected 3 of them, we get these errors because there are no more to pick. So step 6 actually is a lot of things. This is probably the toughest part to understand, but I'll walk you through it. So we want to add a named range that is going to sort of dynamically select only the values to here, from the top down to this part, not including the errors. So this is the part that's going to shrink every time for our disappearing drop-down list. And here in this cell, whenever I put some kind of a shrinking list or a formula within data validation or our named range, I always test it first in a cell. So here I'll explain how this works. Offset uses a starting point, which is this cell, and we're putting a 0 for rows. We're not going down or up. 0 for columns. We're not going to the right or to the left. And it's all about the height. We want this height to be a kind of a smart thing that knows how far down. Is it 50 values? Is it shrinking to 40, to 30, to 20? So I'll explain what this does. I mean, many ways to do this, but I try to avoid the more complicated formulas. So I'm just saying get the max of the range over here, and this is just a simple counter, so it gets the largest number, and then subtract the sum of all the ones in here. So we know that we've selected 3 things. So when we get the max value from this area, let me just highlight this. If I highlight that and I press the F9 key on the keyboard, you see it's at 102. Now I'm going to select the sum function, press the F9 key, 3 selected items. So of course 102 minus 3, that's now the height of our list of the things that we have not selected yet. And at the very end here we have a width. It's only 1 column of values. So I'm going to press the escape key to go back to our original formula. And now you go in here, you take this, you copy it, go to formulas, name manager, and I've already put this. I've created a named range, and I've pasted that formula inside of here. So how do we know what really works? Well, we want to test this before we do that final step of putting it inside of the data validation. So I click on this little button, and we see that what it's highlighting here. Let's carefully scroll to the bottom, and here we have it, that it's a shorter list, only the things that we have not picked yet. So now I'm going to click this. I'm going to click close, and now we're almost done. So let's go to sheet tasks, and in this whole area I'm going to highlight all of these cells. What I'm going to do is go to data and then data validation, and in this little box here we're going to click the drop down, click list, and then where it says source, click in here, type the equal sign, press the F3 key, and that will show you the list of your named ranges. We only have 1. So you select task list, click on OK, and click OK again, and now we should see this list in here. Now this, what we'll do to test it out again is we're going to, let's say we want to pick, it's sort of ordered, chronologically what you would generally do in that order. So you see how it gets shorter as you go down. But we're going to pick discuss budget, how expenses are shared. And let's do this as well. Let's make this a little bit wider so that we can see things easier. So now it's gone. So it's working. Discuss budget, how expenses are shared. Let's just right click on this and clear it. Will it reappear? There it is. Discuss budget. We select it again. We go down here, and obviously it's gone. Let's double check. Book efficient, and in here that one is gone as well. So we see that it's working. Now I'm going to actually sort of fix this area up, and then later on today or maybe tomorrow I'll upload this as well as sort of a finalized template that you could use.